Intellectual property protection is key to any kind of a startup or spin out from a university. We've always started with university technology that's been licensed to the spin out, but we've always quickly worked to develop our own intellectual property as well. And that comes in multiple forms. Some of it's come in the form of patents and patent applications. And in other cases, it's come in the form of things like trade secrets. So realizing that there are multiple forms of intellectual property, and it's all very important in the startup, much more than it would be typically in an academic setting, is a very important thing to understand in terms of developing and furthering the company side of any activity.
So let's start with my journey as a CSU Venture Ambassador. Actually, my role as an ambassador actually is to promote that kind of thinking. Because not many people, I was trained as a PhD and postdoc, straight technical area. Very technical in what we do. IP is a totally different language, different area. So I would say exposure. First thing must be exposed because people don't know what they don't know. So that's why my role as ambassador, actually I hosted 2 events to invite PhD students and postdocs to expose them about IP, talk to them about to do a disclosure to a CSU Ventures before any publishing or public disclosure, like going presentation and give presentation or publish a paper, because that will void your patents right away because they will count as prior art. So I was lucky as well because of Professor Miyake. He did a postdoc in Caltech. There was a good environment in terms of startups, commercializing your ideas and IP, doing IP filing. So he was immersed in that environment. So his advisor will ask him, should we file a patent on this? Because it become a second nature to researchers over there. And Garrett bring that experience here. And and I also learned that from him. And actually this CSU Ventures, I would say, they continually do tremendous jobs in educating people, ambassador program. Because prior to them doing all this program, there's no, it was just a tech transfer office. And there was a big disconnect between people doing the research and filing the IP. We really appreciate CSU Ventures doing the outreach. Now, more and more people know about this and, understand the whole IP process.
Another lesson that I learned a long time ago is the importance of protecting intellectual property. Early in my career, I was really interested in getting grants and contracts and less interested in protecting the intellectual property. When you start a company, you have to have something that investors and other people want, and it has to be something that can be protectable. And that's where intellectual property comes into play. You really have to protect that IP, otherwise you have a hard time sort of attracting capital and attracting business partners, because they're looking for a business entity that has something that they can A, protect, and B, can go to market with.
I can also speak to the importance of protecting your intellectual property. I know that at SciVac, building a strong, defendable intellectual property or IP portfolio has really been key to our success. Again, this is really important in the life science sector as well. It means that we are acutely aware of what we're discussing, and we're always making sure that we're not disclosing details that could prevent us from protecting and marketing our technology or idea in the future. Again, if I think about this in terms, if I want to maximize the impact that my technology can have, it really needs to be protected. That's important. But it's also, important from an academia perspective to know that you can both protect your IP and you can publish. These are both areas that they can work together. But again, protecting, the first thing that we do when we have an idea is to submit a provisional. And that's been really key to our success. It's fast, it's inexpensive, and it's a smart way of protecting yourself and your ideas as you go forward.
And as a faculty member, you might be thinking, well, what's going to give me some competitive advantage? Is there a way I can look to see if there's an angle that would give me a toehold in a marketplace or to introduce a new product? And a lot of times what you should be looking at is what's the status of the intellectual property around the inventions or around the concepts that you think might be worth trying to spin out or form a company around. And so that's where discussions with the CSU Tech Transfer Office and licensing can really help you understand what you've got, and they can do some surveys of what might already be out there in both the patent and trademark space. And that really is important because as a small company, you don't want that sort of candle to get blown out too early. And so the benefit of intellectual property and really being mindful of when to disclose and when not to disclose some of your the details of your inventions is that it gives people around you, that community around you that wants to see your ideas be successful and grow. It gives them the opportunity to file the appropriate things with patent offices and work with patent attorneys, again, specialized people that understand your technology specialties to see if they can create some provisional patents or maybe full patent submissions. And that is, again, what investors are going to be looking for. That's what potential customers and partners are going to be looking for. They're going to want to see, in some ways, why should we be working with you and talking to you, even if you are an entity that's not even fully formed yet. And a lot of times, intellectual property is a powerful part of that early narrative in bringing a new idea into reality.
I would say for IP, if you think you're going to make a company out of it, get PCT or get World. Don't just do US. That's what I would say.
When you're thinking about taking a technology out of the research lab and creating a company or licensing that technology, one of the really critical aspects is to protect that intellectual property. Sometimes it can seem counterintuitive because we've gotten grant funding to develop a technology and we want to get it out in the world. But it's often really critical to get a patent or a trademark or other protection so that you can make a business that when you invest money in that business to develop that technology or product or service, that it's protected and no one else can then come in behind you and take over what you've done.